All right, what's up, my fellow huntsmen? Today we're actually gonna do it. I know y'all been waiting for it. I've been putting it off because I wanted to slowly lure you into the channel. Now is the time. I am going to give you one of my currently used main strategies. This strategy is freaking amazing. It's using institutional methods. It's using a trend trading style. I also have a counter trend trading style, which I will teach you again at some point. And this is a very universal strategy. You can kind of use it in any time during the London or the New York session, and it will make you a lot of money if you do it properly. Let's not delay. Let's jump right into it, guys. This is going to be good. All right, guys, so first thing is first, you're going to understand a lot more of what I talk about in my streams, and if you're going to want more knowledge on this, we can dive more detail in on the streams. This is going to be a very quick video to basically summarize the strategy so that you guys can get an idea of what I do, and then you can go ahead and backtest it for yourself. You can create variances on this strategy. You guys can then create your own strategy based off of this. I really want to help you guys. Please make sure you don't copy it exactly. Some sort of alteration or change to it to make it your own, and then it'll be more of your own style. This is basically what I do. That being said, let's jump right into it. Now, you're going to notice that I say a lot in streams that I'm becoming more picky with it, and you're soon going to understand why I'm becoming more picky, because there are a lot of moving parts to this strategy, and I'm basically refining it so that I'm only accepting all of the moving parts at this point, and I will explain which ones are optional so that you guys can know which are actually profitable. So the first thing that is not optional is this is a trend-based strategy. So the first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to be following the trend. And what I mean by that is we're going to be following the trend on the higher time frame and the lower time frame. This is why I use two charts here. So if we're looking at the higher time frame, we see here quite clearly it's a downtrend. I don't need to define what a downtrend is for you. You can use different means on what a downtrend is. I do have a price action based video on downtrends. It's the 3-part series there. I can hopefully link it up there in that eye so that you guys can see that if you do want to watch that. My definition of a trend, so it's very, very specific. So first of all, we see a downtrend on the major time frame. We then look at the daily the daily level of candles. So, looking at the 5-minute, that's what I mean to say. We're looking at the 5-minute candles for day trading, rather. And what we want to see is a move back to the upside into an uptrend. And then the most optimal entry position would clearly be when that lower time frame is then moving back to the downside to go inside the same trend as that major time frame trend so that we can be most likely pretty profitable. The next thing that we want to look for is that we want to be looking for these levels of interest. So what I like to do is I draw out my supply and demand zones. Again, I've made a video on supply and demand. You guys can also watch that. I'm going to give you more detail. I'm not going to dive into that right here, but this is my supply and demand zone, and it's untested. It has to be an untested level. This is something that is optional in part of this strategy, where it could be tested before, but if it's untested, it's more powerful. And this is what I mean by become very picky, is I want untested only, and I want to make sure it really does touch it here. So then we see this testing of the untested level, and then we see the trend actually start to break down. I then look for sweeping of the stops. So people are then looking to get into this trade. They're all becoming profitable at this point. If they have shorted into this same downtrend, they've now moved their stop just behind this level because now they feel safe. Once I see that these safe players are now getting kicked out of their trades, so right here, I see a sweep of these highs. Again, I've made a video on sweeps. A lot of this stuff I talk about, you guys might have to actually go and watch all these videos. Hopefully I can link them all in the description if I do remember. And then we see a sweep of those stops, and then we see the breakdown, and we see the change of trend right back into that downtrend on the lower time frame. This is kind of the level that's bringing us to the high. We're coming back here and we're breaking that trend. So now I'm set in stone that I now think it's going to be going into a downtrend after I see that manipulation. I first saw weakness in the market here. I then see the manipulation, and then I see that confirmation that we're again going to that downside. Again, guys, a lot of moving parts here. Then the next thing that we do is we look again for that untested level. So it's a very small untested level here, the drop-off point right there. That's where I would put my entry right there on that pullback, because again, I don't want to market enter. I want a very nice trade, and I'm going to then put my stops behind that level because I know it's a very unlikely for manipulation to happen again after it just happened, and shown the weakness, and then we've broken again. So we've shown weakness twice, we've manipulated once, and then what we're going to do on the daily time frame is we're going to target the local lows, and we're going to target down there, and then we're going to take profits along the way. How are you guys going to take profits? Very simple. You look for untested zones, supply and demand, and you look for highs and lows. Quickly looking at this, where are the untested levels? I can say this looks like an untested level right there. You can see that zone. This is a high and a low, and then maybe right down here as well. After we take a couple profits, after we break some levels, we can then move our stop forward as need be. I'm not going to dive into that here, and you can see that our stop would have been a break even here. We would have actually hit the final take profit there for a lovely 5.17R. I didn't even actually look at this trade beforehand. I just quickly saw this, and it did work out super well. This strategy, roughly, if you follow all of the rules, should have over 50% win rate if you wait for the test of the untested zone. If you then wait for the sweep, those are both the optional versions. The optional side for the sweep, what I mean by that is it could be a very quick sweep, or it could be a couple candles in a row. So the quicker it is, the more powerful it will be. That is what I mean by optional, but there will always have to be some sort of sweep. There will always have to be a move past a important level like that. That is always going to be the case. So that part is not optional, but the speed at which that sweep happens is the optional part. Now then, you can enter at different times. This is simply going to change the amount that you win when you do win. So if we did market enter here, we would have had a much lower win. We would have had maybe 2R if we entered on this base retest. I personally would like to wait for a nice pullback into an untested level. You guys are going to have to experiment with this. I'm not going to be able to dive too deep into it and give you all of the answers, guys. There's a lot more info. There's going to be a lot of stuff on stream too. If you guys want to watch those streams, do stream most Mondays to Friday on the New York Open, and I will teach some of this stuff. Is the trend trading based strategy that I use. Let me see if I can find another example we can look at so that you guys can get a pretty good idea on this. So guys, I just looked at another pair. It took me 30 seconds to find this. This is a little bit different here. I'm seeing previous lows being swept here on the higher time frame now. We're also in a higher time frame trend denoted by this major move, and then this is simply a pullback in my opinion. We're kind of testing this area, but it's the second test of that zone. So it's a little bit weaker there, but we do see this closure here, a nice sweep, so that then makes it more powerful. Again, guys, there's going to be a lot of different moving parts, and we're not going to be able to get absolutely everything every single time. So that way, you're actually going to have to manage your risk in different ways. So the more things that kind of line up, the more I will risk. If not as many things are lining up, then I will risk less. But I am getting more and more picky with this strategy. So then we zoom into the lower time frame here, guys. And we see, okay, on the 5-minute, you'll notice this is actually happening largely in the New York session. We can talk a lot about that more later if you guys want. I'm not going to talk about it right now, the importance of the day. And then you're seeing, after we're seeing that sweep of those lows, we're now going from this downtrend back into an uptrend, this move right here, right? And I denoted the uptrend shift by this line, but I didn't want to get in right away. I wanted to wait for that retest of that zone, right? And even if you got into this late, right? I would have gotten in right on this level here, right? I would have entered right on there after we see that trend change, and I would have put my stop right below there. And then where do we target? We target the local highs, taking profits along the way, right? This is very, very quick. I honestly didn't even look at what happened in these trades, and these were just 2 trades that hit the take profit perfectly. I would have taken profit off where? Likely here, I would have taken some profit off, moved the stop forward to break even, and then I probably would have let this go. There's no other important zones for us. Maybe a small one here just because I get anxious or something like that. Just wanted to make an action there. But that actually perfectly kissed that level that we wanted to hit, and we would have perfectly closed out of that trade. Now, guys, look at this. We're then seeing, if you did miss this, you could see that right off that level, you see this happened again. This is an untested level. You're seeing sweeps below those lows. You're seeing a rally back into the trend, right, after changing the trend on the very low time frame. And then look at this. You're coming back. You're testing this untested level. Sorry, I drew it in the wrong spot. Right there on that wick. And then that would have been your entry on a second option if you were slow to this trade. And this could have actually even been a better trade because you had a tighter stop. Now look at this. Again, guys, after we had hit this, I can just continue to look at this. We see, again, we're still in the uptrend. We're coming back to an untested level, right? This case, we're not really seeing a sweep. So this is what I meant earlier by it's an optional setup for the sweep, right? But it's a couple candles, but it's still relatively quickly. It's still kind of that V shape, and then we're exploding out of it. We then look for the retest of the untested level. The untested level here, there's not really one, so we just wait for that base retest, and we would have entered on that base retest this time, putting the stop below the level that we just jumped off of after we're back into that trend. And then where do we target this time, guys? Because we don't really have a local high. We're not going to target right there. It's not very long. I like to target a little higher. Obviously, we would have taken some profit right here, but we would have looked a little bit higher. We would have said, okay, here's an untested level on the 5-minute there, and even on the hourly, you can see an untested level there. Right, so on the hourly, we would have brought it up here, and that's where I would have taken my profit. Mind you, it would have gone way further, but there's no way for us to know that. That's where I would have gotten out because I like to lock in my roughly 3R. 3R is good for me. 2R, 3R, very, very good for me. So hopefully, guys, that was enough info on how to do that. So quick summary, my hunters and huntresses. Basically, follow the trend, higher time frame, lower time frame. Lower time frame goes into the opposite trend and then comes back into that main higher time frame trend. We want to follow the trend. It's a trend-based strategy. We are then also making sure that it's lining up with a supply and demand zone or a local swing high or low, something of importance like that. And then we're looking for a quick sweep and we're looking for a reversal back into the trend. And then all you're doing is you're waiting for an optimal sniper entry. If there's no untested levels, enter as quick as you can on any nice little pullback. Don't do anything stupid, obviously. Don't just enter after a massive pump, right? But if there is a nice untested level, that's going to be your entry. Put your stop behind, target the previous local highs. Very, very simple, guys. There's a lot of moving parts, and it's going to be very difficult to spot this. If you do like this strategy, please make sure that you check out my streams. I will be able to explain them some more. If you want to join a community, I have a free Discord group where you can join the community, talk to some people, learn some stuff. And I also have a paid one where you can learn some high class stuff and some signals from a lot of different traders, a lot of different styles of traders. Great service. We're doing incredibly well. I love these guys. If you guys are interested, please check out the link in the description and please make sure that you subscribe so that you can see that next counter trading strategy that actually I like better because it's even more powerful. See you guys next time.
Listen.